Show, the show that covers everything from sports to politics to news to entertainment and everything in between. And now your hosts, Troy Geary, Will Stein, and Dave Stevens.
Well, hello, everybody. It is so good to see you. So good to be here. And where am I? Well, I am down in Florida enjoying sunny weather. I've been on an amazing trip down here to see my son play some baseball. Caught a Devil Rays Red Sox game, and of course, 13-0 by the time this you guys hear it. Their streak could be over or still going on, but it's been a great start to the season for the Devil Rays, and I can't complain about being down here in Florida. Sunny weather and just an amazing time down here. But we got to get back to business. And of course, we have an amazing guest on tonight's show. And I want to tell you a little bit about his career. You might remember him. He was an NFL linebacker back in the day. Of course, he played cut his teeth with the San Diego Chargers. He was known for his lights out dance because he put so much terror on NFL quarterbacks. And he continued to terrorize NFL quarterbacks for the remainder of his career. I'm talking about Shawne Merriman, who joins us. And Shawne, as we look a little bit of your career from back in the day, does it seem like a long time ago or a short time ago you were running the steps and working out and really causing havoc in the NFL?
Oh, definitely a long time. It's one of those situations, man, where it goes by so fast, and you don't understand how fast the game goes by, and you look back and say, "Man, I've been retired almost 10 years now." And so, looking back at the career and stepping away from the game, and you start taking. It's funny, you start taking everything in, a couple years after you get done.
And that career, of course, we're not going to dwell on the negative as far as all the injuries, but you got out of the game, and yet you went back into a game that some might say is even crazier. Just because of what you have done on the football field, and now we've seen you kind of go from that football field mode to wrestling, MMA, and then becoming the owner of Lights Out. I mean, tell us a little bit about how that transition started and what got you back into a competitive sport and now an owner.
Well, for me, you see some of those pictures right there that you got up. That was me training practically my whole career, even during the off season when I was playing. So I just, always had this love and this passion for MMA from the start. Just being around the fighters. Obviously, playing most, all my career, being having the chance to be in the locker room around guys. So for me to, kind of be back around competition, it's almost therapy in a way, because you'll ask anybody when they get done, any format, they say, "What do you miss about playing sports?" And the first thing they'll tell you, miss the locker room, miss being around the guys. And so for me, I get a little bit of that again. Then on the flip side of that, we have a really big fight coming up May 6th in Burbank, California, Los Angeles. And we'll be live on football. Anybody in the LA area, you can check us out at lightsoutxf.com. Our last one that we had in January broke into Football Sports top 10 most watched all time. And so, we just, for me, I get a chance to promote the next up and coming superstars, man. And being around sports for so long, you can start to see some of these guys, both men and women, and saying, you know what, they're going to be superstars one day. And I get a chance to, kind of build them and get behind them and promote them.
And it really is. It's quite competitive. And what I'll do is I'll pop up. You had mentioned you had the 8 and 9 is coming up, and let's just take a little bit of look of what goes on. I mean, it's hard hitting. This is a couple of early matches. You talked about being on Football Sports, which is a big help, but fans can really see some good fighting. I mean, they shouldn't think that it's a lesser league. It's these guys trying to become the big boys.
Yeah, man. This fight right here was one of my favorite. Patrick, he got pretty active there. But just seeing these guys go, he's a big DJ, man. He got a great story. I think it's Ryan Lilly who we're trying to get back on this card for the main event there. So for me, man, this is really fun because I watch some of these guys train. Right, I see them train before and I see them doing things, and now I get a chance to see them in a lights out extreme fighting cage. some of these guys will probably be gone to the UFC after 1 or 2 fights with us. Well, I think a few of them had a contract on the table already and decided to come take a couple fights with us before they go forward, man. So I love that aspect of it.
And do you get a good relationship with Dana White, as where it's not really competing, but some of those guys are going to end up in some of those big matches down the road?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I actually got a pretty good relationship with Dana. When they had the big fight in San Diego, I was there, and I was sitting with him the whole time and talking about it and just the business in general. And so, we love it, man, when guys get an opportunity to go on and prolong their career, right? I mean, I can say that they started with us, that we built them. Obviously, having a great partnership with Fubo, you get seen all over the country. So, it's a little bit different. I know we are, a feeder type of a league or promotion, but when you have the viewership and the numbers that we're doing, it doesn't feel that way, especially when you have some of these top fighters in the country coming to fight for you. So that's been the fun part about the business.
Who have been some of the successes? Have you had some crossovers that are now succeeding?
Yeah, Melsick, he's was our champion there. He's fighting. He just fought in that Contender show for UFC not too long ago. He just had a fight in Australia over in Perth, I think, where UFC was there. He got a fight coming up. Ghost Pepper, who came through us, the Alpha Ginger, he's a hell of a character. He had a nice run, I think a 4 or 5 winning streak up to this past year in the UFC. So, for us, we look to be very innovative in what we do. Obviously, the fights are great. As you've seen, the production quality is great. And I'm on every side too. It's not like I'm just walking in, everything's set up, and I can go kind of just point fingers and everything's done. Like, no, all the way up until fight week until they walk across that scale. And everybody's cleared to fight, and the commission's happy, and everybody's good to go. That's when the relief is gone for me, and then you worry about the broadcast and making sure everything goes smooth there. So for me, it's a nonstop, one of those nonstop things, man. But I love it. I wouldn't change a thing.
And your announcers, I mean, they're fun to listen to. I hope they don't get stolen away from me. I mean, they're really
Yeah, what's cool about that is obviously because I had a kind of a career in a broadcasting with Fox Sports and NFL Network and being over there with those guys, you can tell, like you just said, our announcer is Blake Bulletproof Troop. He's also a former fighter, might even be taking one more last fight with us at some point in time. But he's so excited, he's so knowledgeable, he's so technical in what he talks about. And even though I've been around this sport for 17 years, sometimes I'll just listen to him on certain things to go down to what I'm looking for. And he's able to articulate to the audience about the fight. If you have a casual MMA fan that likes the sport but don't really know it, he's able to articulate what's going on.
And in Lights Out 8, when I was listening, he seems to anticipate the moves. I don't know how close he is to the ring if those guys are listening to him when he's like, he's got to put a leg in there and move up. He's trying to stand up. And you're like, is he coaching him? Is this like fair? He gets so excited and you can tell that, I've listened to the MMA announcers. He seems more like he's educating the audience at the same time he's describing the action.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He's one of the best, and I'll be damned if anybody take him, man. So, we like to keep him around. And, once in a while I'll jump in the booth and I'll talk about just, the upcoming stuff with Lights Out and, not necessarily the actual fights, but what's coming. And I'll start announcing dates and what we got on the horizon. But, man, this gets me up in the morning. It gives me, I think everybody needs a purpose or a direction or something they create that's theirs. And I got a ton of ideas, a ton of things that I want to implement in what we're doing over the next 90 to 120 days with fan engagement, having more people involved at home. Obviously, Fubo has a great tech platform to allow you to do a lot of the things through the app while you're watching the fight. So I think all of those things are just going to get a lot better over time.
And what is going to be the future for you guys?
Well,
expect to see.
Yeah, well, for one, I'm one of the most out of the box, creative, innovative person you ever meet, because if it sounds crazy, I'm doing it, right? So And the crazier it is, the more impossible it sounds. That's when I want to go and do it more. So I think with us, for one, we want to continue the media footprint, so everybody know about us, right? We're in California. We're looking at Prem, having a fight in Prem. We're looking at Arizona. We're looking at Texas. And so by us having the type of viewership we have throughout the country, it makes it a lot easier when it's time for us to get up and go have a fight in another location.
And so we are talking to former NFL All-Pro 3 times. I mean, your resume is just so impressive as far as what you did on the football field. Defensive Rookie of the Year, the sacks leader, 5 All-Pro teams. I mean, the list is endless. Do you have regrets as far as playoffs and Super Bowls and all those things, or do you just chuck it up? Because I know we've met a couple of times, and you just seem like that's life. I move on to the next thing that I'm going to challenge.
No, it always stays with you, especially when you get around like some of the other guys. I remember when I retired, I was at NFL Network, and I was I was on a set of Total Access, and this was, I think, during training camp time or whatever, and Marshall Faulk was out there, and Deion Sanders and Willie McGinnis, and there's all these either Super Bowls or Hall of Famers, and I'm sitting up there, no gold jacket, no ring, so that's those kind of things I can eat at you. But that's the athlete to me saying how I want to be one of the best, or mention one of the best. So other than that, man, is you step away from the game, you get away from it, and nothing you can really do.
And before we take a quick break here, describe the difference between hitting a quarterback and being just punched or just cold cocked in the face.
Well, I'd definitely rather hit a quarterback than be punched. And I've definitely been clocked a few times in the face, sparring some of these guys. But the crazy part about it is the adrenaline is very, very similar. And that rush you get in fighting somebody, and that rush you get in going to make a big play or a big hit or something like that. It's the feeling of adrenaline is very, very similar.
And we're not going to see you going Vince McMahon on us someday and jumping in the ring or taking on an opponent this late in your life.
Look, I love to train with these guys and stay in shape because that's a part of my DNA and just my discipline, waking up at 5 and going to train. I love that lifestyle still. I still live my life as an athlete, but I wouldn't really cross it out, man. I wouldn't really cross it out because if I believe that if it's the right situation and I know that people want to see it, then that's what would make me really consider doing it. If it's going in and doing it because I got the urge to go and fight one day, I don't have that urge, but I do have the capabilities of fighting, especially if people want it. If people want to see it, if it's the right person, right athlete, the right WWE guy, whoever it may be. I mean, if they want to see it, then I'll make it happen. But I don't go around like I can't wait to jump in the cage next week. That's not my attitude. But I do love to train.
Well, we enjoy a little time that you've spent with us. We're going to take a quick break. The reason, well, I'm going to talk a little bit about Fresh Clean Threads. Of course, that's what I wear when I'm out and in the field and doing all the fun things that I get to do out in the real world. And if you go to freshcleanthreads.com, type in the show code GSS Show, you get 20% off of all of your amazing products. You look good, you feel good, and you save a lot of money. That's freshcleanthreads.com, freshcleanthreads.com, save 20%. And as we continue for the home stretch, Shawne, talk about how do you get these guys? Where do you recruit them? Because again, you don't want just people that think they're a good fighter. I mean, you guys obviously want to start and become almost like that feeding pool for great fighters.
Operations. So we pitch a lot of fights to a lot of these guys. I would say, we pitch maybe 40 fighters per event. 30, 40 fighters, and we try to match them up. Sometimes, and I try to stay away from that as much as possible. But sometimes, I got a guy that we really like, and they need an extra edge or me to go in and get the deal done, and I'll step in and make it happen. But for the most part, man, I let my team handle that, and I'll come in and write the checks when necessary.
And what have you learned the most as far as being an owner slash business slash hands-on, as you mentioned, all aspects of this? I mean, what have you learned as far as you as a businessman?
Well, for one, I had a lot of knowledge, and when you're talking about production, when you're talking about team building, being able to lead a team. I've done that, for a long time. And I think in this case, there's no one section that I have, more involvement than anywhere else. Like, hey, look, if it's matchmaking, if I need to step into matchmaking, in the operation side, if on the sponsorship side, wherever I need to step in to make something happen, then I will. It's not like one of those things like, oh, hey, that's not my job. Well, I'm not supposed to do that. Wherever is needed to get something done, I'm usually involved in. So I think that was probably the biggest thing that I had to understand, coming in there. Was like, hey, look, whatever needs to get done, I got it. And if I want it done correctly, then I got to step in and do it.
Well, we got to talk a little NFL before we let you go, as far as what's coming up, the draft, all of the craziness going on in Baltimore and everything. I mean, are you happy with the state of the NFL right now, or is there some changes you still think that they need to make for the better? As far as agents, contracts, and everything.
Yeah, one thing about the NFL, like they always figure it out, and just like any other business, they got some parts of black-eyed and people don't want to deal with, or a little bit vicious. That's what every industry, every business. But they pretty much have it figured out. Now, as far as Baltimore, I think that with Lamar, they made multiple attempts to get something done. But I really believe by not having representation, I know that everybody's talking about not having an agent, which is a very, very, very big deal. Not just because for a new contract with Baltimore. Hey, maybe a new agent can work a deal to get you out of there and get you a big contract somewhere else. If you don't have that representation, it's really hard to facilitate something like that. But to be honest, I'm a little bit lost in what's going out there. I mean, that's Odell Beckham, signed his big 1-year contract, I think, for 17, 18 million, not knowing who your quarterback is going to be, or does he know who his quarterback going to be? Right? I mean, we don't know. It's so much going on out there right now. But we all know this: Lamar Jackson is deserving of a guaranteed contract, and a big one. We know that. I'll take a healthy 14-game Lamar Jackson over healthy 14 games. And, if he needs to miss a couple games because of his play style, and by the way, that play style is there because you created that offense for him to play that way, right? If you wanted him to just drop back and not run, you can do that. But that team is not best if Lamar doesn't run the football. And so you created this. So if that's the case, then go find you a nice pocket passer that is going to have a long, healthy career, and you're not going to have any issues. But if this is style of play and what you want to do, then pay the man, because there's nobody else going to step up and take the job that way.
I'll leave it on one final thought before we promote the big event again. I still think, and I'm so disappointed and frustrated, I talk to Hugh Jackson about this all the time, the Rooney Rule and everything that goes on, we are still not seeing enough black coaches get that opportunity, or get the opportunity and not given a long leash rather than a short leash. What can we do? Like, what can we do to fix this? Most, the highest percentage of players are black and African American in the league. So why aren't that doesn't roll over for the coaches?
I think the rule was garbage anyway, to be quite honest. I mean, if you got to implement a rule to hire a certain amount of black coaches or minority coaches in general, that's saying a lot, right? And I also think it gives a false, gives a false narrative that a guy's even qualified for that position in the first place, but you got to hire him because of his skin color. I don't like that. The other thing is that the black coaches who have had opportunities, or minority coaches who have had opportunities to step into a place, is normally been in a bad organization or a team that's in very bad shape. So that's what's on the table. That's what they have open. They take it, don't do well, and then boom, they're out, they're done. So I think we've seen that with Steve Wilkes down in Arizona. He inherited a terrible team. We've seen that with multiple black coaches because that's the only coaching job that's open and available to them, so they take it because there's nothing else out there. And they're in and out the door.
We've seen them have success in Miami. We see him have success in Miami and turn a team around. And
yeah, but there's a lot of stuff. Sean. Yeah, so but you're right. I just always thought the Rooney Rule was how do you say it was the thought that matters, right? The thought that counts. But I never really looked at it as they were going to implement that. I just never looked at it that way.
Well, hopefully that we change this all the way around. There's so many well-deserving coaches, and Dion is having success in college, which again should spur some great successes. So we got to talk one more time about this big event on May 6th that's taking place at the Los Angeles Marriott in Burbank. Tickets are available at lightsoutfx.com. It's going to be a great night. You can watch it on Fubo, which is a streaming service, again, with a lot of sponsors that I'm looking forward to it. What's your favorite fight of the night, Sean?
I'm looking. I mean, hopefully we can get Ryan Lilly back for this fight as our main event. But the other one is Julian Duncanfield, man, against Gary Owens. Julian Duncanfield, he played football at Fullerton College, and he has that football explosion about him. Very, very. This dude got firecrackers in his hands, and he's explosive. You can tell he has the football lower body to him. He explodes from his legs on his punches. Very active, fluent. I think he has a chance to be a star one day.
All right. Well, for more information or tickets, go to lightsoutfx.com. You can watch prior matches on Fubo. They're all there, or, of course, on your website. Some really good stuff. Sean, thanks for taking some time with us. Best of success, and let's talk before 10 or 11 or 12 as these things build up, my friend.
You got it. Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on.
All right. The legendary Shawne Merriman joining us. And before I let our viewers out there go, I want to say again, thank you for Fresh Clean Threads. And in fact, we have a new promo that's debuting just for you guys. So watch this.
Hi, everybody. Dave Stevens here for the Geary, Stein Stevens Show from Tropicana Field, home of the Tampa Rays. And you know what? Not everybody can be a Major League Baseball player, but you can look like $1 million. What's the best way to do that? Well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. Don't believe me? That's right. You can look professional, feel good, and not spend a lot of money by wearing Fresh Clean Threads. They have amazing shirts. They've got Henleys and polos, long sleeves, and even bomber jackets. And if you like them, you can save some money by typing in the show code GSS Show from the Geary, Stein and Stevens Show to save 20% off. So if you can't be a major leaguer and you want to dress like one, well, go to freshcleanthreads.com. That's freshcleanthreads.com. Tell them Dave sent you. Use that code GSS Show.
And how good did I look in that shirt? Of course, we thank our friends from Fresh Clean Thread. And as I said, it's been a great week down here. We're going to go and head over tomorrow to Miami, where I'm going to be covering the first playoff game for the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls. And this is another play-in game, I believe. So exciting to see that. And then we'll be heading to Miami to cover the Marlins and the Diamondbacks game this weekend. So it's a great weekend to be in town as far as the the Rays 13-0. It's really exciting. And I actually had an opportunity to talk to their opposition, Alex Cora, the manager of the Boston Red Sox, and he joined us for a little bit, and we'll share it. Here we go.
Spent a little time with Red Sox manager Alex Cora. Thanks for taking some time out of this busy night. Normally you guys are chasing the bad guys in the pinstripes. It's kind of weird to come out of the gate and these guys that you're playing tonight, they've really been playing some great baseball.
They've been playing great baseball for a while, not only this year. It's one of the best teams in the American League, in the big leagues, and what they're doing here is pretty impressive. So everyone's got to be ready on a nightly basis and try to beat them.
You can't look at the scoreboard in these situations because you have 150 games left. I mean, you guys have to do what you do. It's a lot of baseball left. So how do you tell your players to approach this early?
We just go out and play, man. You go through stretches that you're going to play 500 baseball. We're over 10 days during the season, and then you're going to get hot and you're going to win 8 or 10 games in a row.
Yeah.
I think everybody goes through stretches. It just looks a lot better when you win 10 right away. It gives you margin for error during the season, and they're doing amazing.
Is there pressure because that hockey team in town is kind of big and they're kind of stealing your guys' thunder out of the gate?
No, man. We won 2018, so we've been doing a good job over the last 20 years. We got 4 World Series rings, the most in the big league. So I think what we're doing is working.
And I know you love to manage baseball, so the new changes, the rule changes, how has that been for you as far as stealing and kind of getting back to some of what baseball is all about?
Well, first things first, I think the pitch clock is great. It's great for the game. The pace of the game is a lot better. Defense is helping. It's benefiting from the pitch clock. Obviously, we got to make adjustments with the running game, and obviously conditioning-wise for those guys on the mound is a challenge, but so far it's been amazing.
And you had it in spring training, so it's not like they're doing something they haven't done for 30 days.
Yeah,
right?
It's a lot different from what they did with the minor leagues last year. Last year was like, here we go, opening day, there's a pitch clock, you're going to deal with it. With us, we had 30 games before the real game started, and I think every team has to make the adjustments.
You've had some success as a manager. Who do you look back to as your mentor, or the guys that kind of, you took a little piece of each of those guys to become who you were?
I think all my managers at the big league level helped me. All my managers in youth baseball helped me. But the person that I always admire and I always follow is my brother, Joey Cora. He's the third base coach for the Mets, and he's been a mentor for me, my brother, my best friend, and just following his footsteps has put me in this platform.
And the thing I've noticed, we had a 2-hour game last night. The fans seem to be more into the game. There seems to be this excitement. They're not walking around. They're more into the game. There's been a buzz.
Less phone. They can't check the phones. You're going to be locked in the game.
All right, Alex. Thanks for joining us. Best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Take care. Get in there. Yell at those guys.
I will. Let's
All
go.
Right.
Thank you, my friend.
sir.
Be well.
Oh, I always like when I'm able to make the managers laugh a little bit. So that was Alex Cora joining us from the ballpark, and a great weekend. So that's going to be it for us today. Troy got caught in traffic, couldn't make the show, but that's okay. We still love you anyway. And well, I'm not sure where Will is anyway, but that's our show for today. So continue to follow us on all social media platforms. The Geary, Stein, and Stevens Show is everywhere on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and all of those locations. So for Troy, myself, and everybody else, it's a wrap.